Texas Senate race, where Republican Ken Paxton made headlines last week when he wouldn't answer questions about recent reports and issues that have emerged in the campaign against Democrat James Tallarico. It happened in Fort Worth Tuesday during a news conference he held to announce that 24 Texas sheriffs had endorsed his campaign. When Paxton opened the news conference up to questions for the room of reporters, I started to ask him about a New York Times report that said he had increased the number of properties he owned to 15, worth $9 million. He declined to answer. A reporter for the Dallas Morning News then asked Paxton about a Texas Tribune ProPublica report that said he voted 6 times in a Collin County location based off an address at which he no longer lived. The reporting came after his office released guidance in February that, quote, it is illegal to misrepresent your residence on election records. Paxton declined to answer. Here's how it played out in real time during the news conference.
We're going to do a couple of questions. Jack, do you want to go first?
General, I wanted to give you a chance to respond to State Representative Tallarico and his campaign. They've made a lot about the reports that have come out. One in the New York Times about you acquiring properties worth $9 million.
So, Jack, can we keep this to law enforcement today?
Well, I'm giving you the opportunity to answer the question.
I'd like to, we're here with the sheriffs, I'd like to keep today to law enforcement. So
that's what I'm going to answer, questions about law enforcement.
Okay.
Gromer, did you want to go?
Will you answer a question about why you voted in Collin County? Clear that up.
So we're just going to do questions on law enforcement today because we're joined with 22 amazing law enforcement officers.
If you guys don't have any, that's fine. I can move on.
No, we can ask questions about this. You went through a whole list of problems that you had with Tallarico, and what is your main takeaway for voters who are undecided? Right now, the polls are neck and neck. So what is your main message to the voters? Maybe some are undecided. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that there's a clear difference between the two of us. I've supported law enforcement. I've supported giving them the resources that they need, protecting them from political attacks, which there have been many over the last decade. And he's done everything to take that away. He's tried to take away funding. He's supported efforts with his own money to defund the police in Austin. His voting record is abysmal as it relates to law enforcement and protecting our communities. He's done everything he can to hurt the safety of our communities. I've done everything I can to make sure that our communities are safer.
I have a question.
We're going to get out of here. Thank you, guys.
I have a question.
Yeah, we're going to get out of here. Thank you.
Can we not have more than one person answer a question?
What's your question?
We heard from Tallarico today. He's campaigning on, he's campaigning on unaffordable child care. You're talking about public safety. What should that say to voters? Is public safety the priority over that other issue? Do you have comments on that?
I said they're both important. Just because we focus on public safety doesn't mean we don't care about other issues.
Perfect. Thank you.
I've requested an interview with him, and I asked his campaign if they had a statement or answers to the questions we asked. As of early Friday afternoon, we did not hear back. This comes after Tallarico challenged Paxton to 3 televised debates. While Paxton's campaign has said he wants to debate, the 2 campaigns are still negotiating. In response, the Tallarico campaign issued a statement that read in part, quote, if Ken Paxton can't answer these simple questions, what is he planning to do in a debate? It's not the first time the Attorney General hasn't wanted to answer questions about allegations surrounding him. Back in February 2022, before the Republican primary in the Attorney General's race, we traveled to Far East Texas to ask Paxton about criticism from his 3 opponents. At the time, the Attorney General was under investigation by the FBI after his top hand-picked lieutenants in his office went to the agency alleging potential bribery and other crimes against him. How do you respond to your Republican challengers who openly criticize your ethics and integrity?
Let me just say we're going to keep this to the topic at hand. I'm not going to talk about my campaign. I'm not going to talk about campaign issues. Literally, this is part of my job. This is an important issue for the state of Texas.
Then in May 2023, after a Texas House committee recommended Paxton be impeached, the Attorney General held a news conference at his office at the Texas Capitol. He read a statement, but before reporters could ask him any questions, he walked out. Are you going to answer questions, General Paxton?
General Paxton.
Paxton was acquitted and cleared of any wrongdoing in a trial held by the Texas Senate. The Biden administration ultimately dropped its FBI investigation without filing any charges against Paxton.
So today I'm going to ask you guys questions.
While Ken Paxton has previously answered a limited number of campaign-related questions at his events, he does not sit for extensive interviews with local reporters, only conservative media. We have requested interviews with him multiple times but have not been granted one. I asked SMU political science professor Matthew Wilson about Paxton and whether last week's news conference could impact his campaign.
I don't think that particular incident in and of itself hurts him a lot politically, but clearly there will be pressure going forward for him and for his campaign to speak to some of these issues surrounding his voting residence, surrounding his property acquisitions. He'll have to provide a response. I understand him not wanting to get into a back and forth about that at an event that he wanted to be tightly focused and scripted about law enforcement. But that said, we know that voters have some ethics concerns surrounding Attorney General Paxton, and that he'll have to speak to those questions at some point.
He has a history of not sitting down with local reporters. He goes on conservative media a lot, but to sit down and have an extensive interview with local reporters is not something that he has done. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering, at some point, do you think he is going to have to do that?
Yeah, I think the lesson that he has drawn from his previous campaigns is that he can largely avoid doing that. That is, he's run multiple times statewide and prevailed in both primaries and general elections since the ethical cloud started to surround him. And he looks back and says, look, I didn't have to get into the weeds of these issues with either local or national reporters in these previous campaigns. I still prevailed. And so I think that's the playbook that he will largely try to stick to. Because I think that Ken Paxton realizes that people's perceptions of his ethics are largely baked in at this point. So I think he will largely continue to try to avoid that and to focus, frankly, much more attention on James Tallarico than on rebutting even new ethics charges against him.
Could that strategy, though, impact him in this race against Democrat James Tallarico, which is neck and neck when you look at all of the independent polling out there?
This is the strongest challenge that he has faced. And so it is possible that a strategy that has availed him in the past could see him come up just short this time. That would be the worry. That would be the concern. And in fact, most of the polling shows him running 5 or 6 points behind other statewide Republican candidates. So he certainly is in a real race.
He has been challenged by the Tallarico campaign to do 3 televised debates. And his campaign advisor wrote very publicly that, yes, the Attorney General does want to have a debate with Tallarico. And so do you think that this is going to happen?
Well, I would be surprised, frankly, if we get 3 debates. I think the bigger question is, do we get at least 1 debate?
And what do you think about that?
I think a lot depends on where Paxton feels like his campaign stands come Labor Day. Does he feel like he's got a small but reliable lead, or does he feel like he truly is in serious danger of losing this race? Does he feel like he's a little bit behind? If he feels like he's a little bit behind, it probably increases his willingness to debate.